So if you've looked into becoming an entrepreneur, starting your own business, and have done any poking around, you know that there's all kinds of books and tricks and hacks and advice for being productive and getting it done, especially if you are starting something small on the side and it's more like a side hustle or and one of the things that I saw repeatedly, and I guess if I was still looking, I would see repeatedly is the getting up early, getting up a few hours early, and that's when your mind is freshest, and that's when you should write all of your stuff down and do, that's this idea that it's, I guess, a little bit ableist or a little bit I don't know, just this idea that morning time is the only time to be your productive. And if you can't make that happen somehow, that you're lazy and you're not committed enough to your dreams, if you can't get up at 4 a.m. and journal for an hour and then go for a run and, scramble your eggs, whatever. And so for a long time, I was trying so hard to like shift my schedule back because I have to get up a certain time. I get my son to school. And then I come home and I start working. So, I mean, I have a definite point that I have to get up, but I was trying to get up a little bit earlier to get, to do some of the, have my morning ritual. And my morning ritual is sleeping as, it turns out is sleeping as late as I possibly can, getting my son to school, coming home, getting into my day and working from there. And I would beat myself up about that all the time because of this culture of, the early bird gets the worm. You've got to be up, the crack of dawn. And if you're not doing, if you don't have this structured morning ritual, you're clearly going to fail as a human being and definitely as an entrepreneur. And so what I want to say to that is no. I started reading a little bit more about chronotypes. I know there was the whole like early bird and night owl and daylark, and then there was another quiz out there that I did, and it like I fall into a wolf pattern, I guess, but it resonated with me because it basically is like, until 11 o'clock, you're kind of like, you don't expect a lot out of yourself. And that is even when I would try so hard to get to my desk and be functional at, at 9:30, which is by the time I get home from dropping my son off, that's when I sit down at my desk or can sit down at my desk, but it would always creep forward. And I would always, I don't know, just like, it was hard to start anything before then. And it didn't matter if I had caffeine or not caffeine or drank a lot of water or took a little walk, whatever. It was always, it's always a struggle for me to really get moving before 11. But then I hit a stride later in the afternoon, and it's like, I almost can't stop the momentum. And so I've leaned into that lately and given myself grace for not being a completely functional human being before 11 in the morning. And honestly, if I really wanted to, and I wanted to seem like I was like a morning person or something, I could just pick up all my clients because I'm on the East Coast. If all my clients are on the West Coast, it doesn't matter that I get up and don't start working till 11 because they're only just getting in at 8 o'clock in the morning over there. So the idea that the only way to do something right is because someone who has, it's worked for them, but just because something works for someone else, that might be a good way to like test something out because it's worked. But if it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you or their method or them, but it just means that you just have to figure out what works for you. And it might not be what works for the gurus or everybody else or even anybody else, but what works for you. And that is something worth figuring out and celebrating and implementing, because it's going to help make your day just so much easier, especially when you can give yourself grace for not fitting the mold of everybody else. So I just wanted to share that. And that's one piece of business advice that I tried to follow, and then finally decided, screw that. It's not worth it for me. I want to sleep in the mornings till as late as possible. Anyway, I'd love to hear any of the things that you tried or believed and then realized, screw that, that is just not for me, and what you do instead. You can just leave it below in the comments. Thanks. Bye.